Okay. Hello everybody, my name is SpeZy, and welcome back to another video. It's been a while since I've done one of these. Yeah, it's MCC time. I haven't got too much time to make predictions over the next, week, so I'm doing them now. I think when I used to make MCC videos, I would, do it just before the event, but I'm gonna change that, and I'm gonna try to do it a little bit sooner after the teams are announced, because we basically have all the information we need. We don't know the games, but other than that, we're fine. But yeah, this event is looking pretty interesting. I've kind of had my head out of the MCC game since the last MCC. So I really haven't been looking too deeply into stats, so I'm a bit rusty on that kind of thing. But hopefully I'll get back into it, and maybe after this video, I can get back into the swing of things. I'm not going to waste any more time. Let's just get into it. I've got a Reddit post here. I've also got a tier list. I'm going to order them all in here. You can see all the teams at the bottom. And I have this, which is a lovely Reddit post made by someone. I don't know who made this. It was Lucy.p. So thank you very much to them. And I'm going to be using it to look at all the teams, because it's pretty easy. And I did also go on my way to watch some footage of some of the newcomers, just so I know how well they'll do, roughly. I also have a notepad here, which I'm going to pull up next to me, because I have a few notes on whereabouts I need to put the teams. Because I didn't want to go into the recording and waste too much time thinking. I kind of want to know what I want to say. But I prefer talking in a more unscripted way, so hopefully this style is somewhat interesting. Firstly, in MCC Blank Canvas, we have the Red Rabbits with Hannah XX Rose, Filza, Tubbo, and Rosecumber, or Roscumber. I don't actually know how to say the name. That would have been a good thing to look up. This is a very good team to start off with. I'm happy they're the Red Rabbits. I think it got people hyped, because seeing Tubbo and Phil back is pretty exciting for a lot of people. Tubbo and Rosecumber, you might know from Tubbo's Realm server, which I haven't watched too much of, but I know they're on there from watching some of their streams to see how roughly good they were. And they look pretty okay at the game. They definitely focus on the more survival kind of aspects, rather than sort of a PvPer or a parkourer, but definitely look competent at the game. So not someone you're gonna put in 40th. so I could see them doing pretty decently. This is a very consistent team. There's no real weak player on this team. And Tubbo, Phil, and Hannah are all top half players, so usually at least. So it's a bit of a wild card team. It's difficult to really assess where they're gonna come, especially with people like Hannah potentially improving. Hannah's now on lifesteal, and I think she's gotten better at the game since then. Phil has been out of the event scene for a while, but you know he's Phil, so he'll get back into it. And Tubbo is, I think, underestimated a lot of the time in terms of skill. So, yeah, it's a bit of a wild card team to sort of predict first. But we'll sort of into the tier list. I may move things around. I've kind of got rough notes on where to put teams. I'm going to put them in 7th, because I think they are a lower half team, just because they're one of the only teams that lack a top, frag player. Their best player is probably Hannah, but I think Hannah is slightly lower rated in my eyes, compared to a lot of the other players in the event, in terms of, top frags on the team. And you'll sort of see why when we look at the next couple teams. Actually, next couple teams maybe are even lacking in that. Maybe I'll put them all low, but I don't know. I think I said everything I want to say, so we'll move to the next team. The next team is the Orange Ocelots with Ant Venom, Captain Sparkles, Michael McChill, and Shadoon. It took me until, embarrassingly recently to realize that the way they order all of the players on the teams is always, alphabetical. I just never put that together. Although, actually, wait, no, Rosecumber should be before Tubbo. Maybe it's because they're a new player. I don't know. But, I don't know. For the most part, that's how it goes, so there you go. Maybe it's just random and I'm just being funny. I noticed that when I first looked at this team. I was like, oh, and I think it fits the rest of them. Anyway, I'm wasting time. There's no weak player on this team, and I will put them above Red for that simple reason is that they don't have a newcomer. Now, their weakest player is probably Michael, but Michael's not that bad. So I like Michael can definitely outplay some people. Next best player is probably Captain Sparkles or Ant Venom. It's difficult to decide. Ant Venom's better, is probably worse in terms of mechanics, but I'd say Ant Venom has more familiarity with MCC sort of stuff. Even though Captain Sparkles has been in so many events, Ant Venom just does so much trading. Especially on that older Ace Race server, which sadly got shut down. But he ended with the best time, so well done to him. And finally, this team has Shadoon, who's probably the most wildcard sort of like A/S tier player, like in the whole event. It's difficult to always predict where Shadoon's gonna finish, but I expect him to do quite well. I feel like he does quite well on orange teams, from memory. So that's definitely a good thing for him. I'm gonna plonk this team in 4th because they look really strong. I would say there's some S tiers who I think are a little bit better, or sometimes there's a than Shadoon, and sometimes there's a second frag on some of these teams that are a little bit better than Captain Sparkles or Ant Venom. So that's what sort of keeps them out of the top 3 for me for now. But we'll see. Next team is the Yellow Yaks, with Kratzy, Ollie Gamers, Tapple, and Gumi. This team is interesting. So Kratzy and Tapple is a very strong duo. One of the strongest in the event, actually. And then Ollie Gamers and Gumi are 2 like lower players, but not like bottom frags. Like usually, a lot of times they won't be the worst player on a team, and that will make the team strong. So it's interesting. So you sort of you have these players who are like average, like the first or the second best player, so maybe like a 1.5 in terms of like their ranking on a team on average, and you've got them sort of tied for first in Kratzy and Tapple, and then you've got kind of that on the opposite spectrum of Ollie Gamers and Gumi. So I think it's a very balanced team, and I think it could do very well, but it could do pretty low. And for that reason, I'm gonna put them in 5th for now. For the reasons I sort of explained, they kind of balance out to all be around the middle. So I feel like there's a good reason to put them in 5th. But we'll see if that changes when I look at more teams. Next up is the Llamas with Jojo Solos, Mythical Sausage, Solidarity Gaming, and the Orion Sound. Best player on this team is by far Jojo, but I don't know if Jojo... I could be very wrong about this, but I felt for a while that Jojo's indivs is slightly declining. And that's not from Jojo getting like worse at the game. It just comes from the fact that there's more and more players at the top of S tier putting in so much more like practice and work. Jojo's a very smart player, but there's a certain point where people play the event so much where that kind of becomes the norm. And I feel like that's happened in MCC. So Jojo definitely in an S tier, but I think one of the lower S tiers. And not only that, but there's no real second frag here. Like the Orion Sound's the second best player on this team in my opinion. But that's like, I don't know. And then Mythical Sausage and Solidarity usually get in quite like low. So I can't really put this team from a logical standpoint. I can't really put this team that high. So I'm gonna put them in 9th for now. But I do really like this team though. There's gonna be some good clips from this team, and there's also this team seems like a really good vibes team to watch. Like if you want to watch the event and you just want to like sit back and have a good time, these teams are probably a great one to watch. So I definitely recommend this POV. Like a Jojo or a Jimmy or an Ollie or a Mythical Sausage. To be fair, I haven't watched Mythical Sausage streams before, so I can't really speak for them, but I mean, they're in the event, so I'm sure they're a great streamer, so yeah. Anyway, next is the Green Geckos. We have Aimsy, Purpled, newcomer Setting Sunset, and Smager. First of all, Purpled and Smager is a very, very good duo. So immediately, this team is a team that's not going to be anywhere near the bottom. Aimsy, in my opinion, is actually an improving player in MCC. So that's going to be interesting to see. At least in terms of recent MCCs. Obviously, it's been a while, so it's going to be we'll see where Aimsy finishes. And Setting Sunset's a newcomer, and I watched some of their gameplay, and I don't think they're going to be exiting the bottom 5. But that's okay, because this team's really strong. And to be fair, they could have very good communication. I mean, I watched like 10 minutes of their stream and they were having a good time. So I think they'd be good in communication games. You know, I mean, maybe a good sandkeeper as well. But I don't think they're going to be bringing in too much points in sort of parkour or PvP stuff. But that's okay, because this team doesn't really need that. Because you've already got purpled. So you're just going to need good support players, and I think SpeZy can do that. This team can do really well. But obviously only 2 teams can make it to dodgeball, and this isn't the team that I would personally back to be the most consistent. And I feel like they're better than orange. I might do this, and then I might put green there. That's probably right to me. Yeah, I'll do that. Just because I think they're the best team we've looked at so far, but I think there's teams later on, and we'll see, that have slightly higher peak like performance sort of scores they could achieve to sort of win. So yeah, that'll be so we'll see that in a minute. Okay, right. We're halfway through the teams now. Moving in to the Cyan Coyotes, with Antfrost, False Symmetry, Good Times with Scar, and Smallish Beans. This team is kind of similar to the Llamas. If we go back, if we assume like Jojo and Ant are like similar, right? But I think Antfrost is slightly better than Jojo, and also the big factor here is Smallish Beans. Smallish Beans is a much better second frag than anyone on that Lime team. Smallish Beans is incredibly underrated, in my opinion, not far off being an A tier. So a very strong player. This is, I think, I think this team might get slept on a lot. If this team made dodgeball, it just wouldn't be surprising to me at all. And if we're going player to player from this green team, I mean, you could definitely make an argument that Cyan's stronger. And plus, Antfrost has been putting in practice already on the new practice server. I mean, I say the new practice server, it's the actual server. The server is now the practice server. But you got a time on that parkour course. I think it was like 8 minutes or something. I'm still yet to watch the entire thing. I kind of skimmed through it, so I don't know how good of a time that is. But still impressive to already beat it. I think Antfrost is slightly weaker than Purpled, but I think Smallish Beans is better than Smajor. I think False Symmetry is slightly better than AimZ, and I think Scar is better than Sunset. So that would give 3 to Cyan. Only Antfrost would be behind Purpled, but I don't think Antfrost is behind Purple by that much at all. So, I mean, you could really, I don't know. I'm tempted to bump all the teams down because I've got 3 teams in mind that I wanna. I think the next 3 teams you'll kind of see are teams I want to put high. So I'm gonna do this. And we will look at this again later because I might change my mind on this. But for now, that looks about right to me. Next team is the big team, in my opinion. It is the big team. H-Bomb 94, Karakovas, Pizza Hut, and Super Eloise. H-Bomb and Pizza Hut is a duo we have not seen since MCC 7. They teamed together in MCC 6 and in MCC 7, and they made it to Dodgeball both times. I don't know if they teamed in another instance. I don't think they did. And they're back. They completely wiped the floor with both of those events. In MCC 7, they broke the team point record, which I believe is still standing. So that's crazy. And yeah. And not only that, it's not like they have 2 very weak players next to them. Kara and Eloise are both good players. Kara extremely experienced, and Eloise is pretty decent in Minecraft. She can play. So, I think Scott made this team for not only a nostalgia thing, obviously putting Kara on this team as well, someone who's played since MCC 1, definitely good. Also, probably assuming that H-Bomb and Pizza are going to go a bit lower down in terms of individual, but I personally don't believe in that trend at all. I don't think Pete has been declining recently at all. Pete still actively plays Minecraft, and his MCC results haven't really dropped in the past couple years. They've sort of sat steady at this kind of like 5th kind of place, kind of area. And H-Bomb will still nowadays get top 10. So, and again with like H-Bomb sort of communication during games, it just creates such a soothing environment that I think Pete also complements really well. Pete kind of has this similar sort of aura to him, that H-Bomb has, and I think that's something that makes them such a strong duo together, especially in the early days of MCC when people didn't exactly know what they were doing. But even now, that just works. Definitely the team I'm going to put in first place from not only a skill point of view, from just being good at Minecraft, from a communication point of view. This team is going to have the strongest communication in the entire event, in my opinion. Yeah. It's going to be sort of a team effort, all of them working together. On the flip side of that, we have the Blue Bats, which is a communication-based team that's solely going to revolve around one man, and his name starts with an F and ends in Einberg. The Blue Bats consists of Cubfan, Feinberg, Michaela, and Exuma. Michaela you might know as Dark Eyebrows. This is a very, very strong team, which is basically going to always be the case with Feinberg being on it. You could make a whole new tier in MCC for Feinberg just because how much ahead he is of the rest of the competition in most events he plays in. Or at least the main events he plays in. Obviously, in events like Pandora's Box and stuff, there's other players there who can compete with him, like Kel, for example, and Kalen, and there's loads of other names, Toph. But in MCC, he sort of stands alone, at least in my eyes. So, not only from a skill factor, he has the best communication in the entire event, which immediately is going to bring his entire rest of his team up. And when you've got just such good vibes people around you, I don't see there being any sort of toxic situation that he's going to be in, and after the event people are going to be going, oh no. It's very similar to the Blue Banshees. Was it the Blue Banshees? I think he was on the Blue Banshees in Haunted Hoedown that he was on with Cubfan. I believe, I forget what the other two hermits were on that team, but Michaela and Exuma, in terms of skill, I'm sure they're pretty similar. So yeah, definitely a good team. It's difficult to because this is annoying. This is the thing about making this video before the games come out, is because I actually don't know. There might be no games where that's actually a useful skill, but I'm gonna assume that we're gonna get some team games. I'm expecting a Grid Runners. I'm expecting a Sands of Time. You really expect that. You could even expect a Build Mart return. Maybe there's a new Build Mart. And if that's the case, I'm going to plonk this team in second. And I know maybe that's just really biased of me to say, but I just don't... I think there's not another team here, other than Aqua, who can match that communication, in my opinion. I don't really... Maybe Cyan would have good communication because the sort of Smallish Bean sort of crosses over between Antfrost and the Permits and can sort of make that kind of connection, so that kind of trust, but I don't know, I just don't see it with a lot of these other teams, and I think Blue can do really well, and they're going to be the POV I'm watching, so I'm going to be biased towards them because I want them to win. But I'm going to put them in second. Next up, at least for now, next up is a contender though, because they have, in my opinion, the second best MCC player, and that's Fire Breath Man. Fire Breath Man is just absurdly good at mechanical Minecraft, but in my opinion, slightly lacks in the communication aspect. Not to any fault of his own though. It's a sort of a skill that can come naturally to some people. I mean, and it's also, but it is something you can train. So, maybe things have changed because Fire Breath Man has been getting into more sort of side events. Things like there's like loads of these small events that have been going around for a while, but they've sort of become popular in the Fire Breath Man's kind of circle of these sort of like common event players. Funny Wars is probably the most known example. The Purple Pandas consists of Captain Puffy, Fire Breath Man, Krinios, and Sniffish. I should have said that sooner. This is a pretty decent team. I think a lot of it will come down to Krinios, actually, because he's sort of an unknown entity, because his performances at MCC have been pretty inconsistent over the past couple of years. He doesn't play too much, but has been active on MCC Island a little bit. I see him sometimes on the Parkour Warrior leaderboards, I believe, so definitely someone who's like putting work in, and has probably wanted to get back into the roster for some time now, so definitely good to see him back. And Sniffish and Captain Puffy are both pretty decent players, so again, predicting who's gonna get like 40th in this event is pretty difficult. Like, there's not really any like people who don't know how to play Minecraft. Like, so it's gonna be difficult. This is a pretty good team, obviously, with Fire Breathman and Krinios is a very good duo. And I believe that purple and blue could be the rivalry throughout this entire event. I think that could be really cool to see, especially because of Fire Breathman and Feinberg's sort of rivalry that I have in my head. I think both of them want to prove that they're the best MCC player. Because Fire Breathman in certain games is ahead of Feinberg, and he'll want to sort of expand that, given Feinberg is not someone who's gonna he doesn't put hours of practice in before the event. He just comes into the event, and Fire Breathman can exploit that. You can go and practice some of these games on MCCI, you can practice it on the practice server, and if Fire Breathman can do that, then he definitely could take back that #1 title from Feinberg, because I think Feinberg has sort of become the community's, he's the best. At least from Season 4. But now we're entering a new season, so we'll have to see. I'm going to leave them in 3rd, but this could, you could put this either way, really, in my head. Anyway, moving to the final team, we have Apier, Etoiles. Wow, I probably said that right. How would you say that? Etoiles? I don't know. Matox and Precia. I'm just going to put them in 10th and say I don't know. Because I don't know anything about any of these players. I just don't know. They're there. From my perspective, they are just people in the event. They are just placeholder players in my brain. So I'm just going to put them in 10th. You know, like the Xbox people who played in Pride 21? That's this in my head. Because I don't know anything about these people. But they all have a decent following, and they're going to bring people into the event. So good on them. Thank you for being in the event. But I don't know anything about you, so I'm not going to pretend and be like, oh, well, actually, if I look at these players, they're going to finish 10th. I'm just going to put them in 10th. Maybe that's mean. Maybe they're all gods. Maybe they're going to get first. I don't know. But I'm going to put them in 10th. Anyway. Let's have a read through these. So, let's see if we think these are right. So, pink in 10th. I'm not going to move. Lime in 9th. Feels a bit wrong to put Jojo in 9th. But we'll see. Red in 8th. That's probably right. Nah, there's no nah, that's crazy, but I don't know. This is why Scott does such a good job with MCC teams, because it feels so wrong to put some of these teams so low. And if you ever feel like that, then you know that the teams are good. So, well done to Scott. Orange in 7th. Even that feels wrong. Yellow in 6th. Maybe I could swap yellow and orange. Yeah, that's probably right. Green in 5th. That's fine. They remind me of yellow, but purple is a bit better than Kratzy, and Smage is worse than Tapple, but I think overall it's better to have that sort of gap when you're looking for peak performance, so I'm fine with putting green in 5th ahead of yellow. And orange, I guess, who I've got sandwiched between them. Cyan in 4th. Yeah, it's fine. I feel like Anfrost gets 4th a lot. Also, this music is awful. I'm not really gonna skip it, but I hate this song. Gives me a heart attack. I feel like I'm on MCCI all over again. It's like the Vietnam War meme of the guy who's got his eyes wide open. Anyway, God, I've been going for 24 minutes. Okay, so I probably should round it up. Purple in 3rd. Yeah, it's fine. Blue in 2nd. Yeah, it's fine. Nacra in 1st. I really hope Aqua win this event, because I want to see a Pizza Hut win. And I want to see a H-Bomb win. And I want to see a Kara win. I want to see an Eloise win. You get the point. I love this guy. I love Pizza Hut. Yeah. No, I think this is all fine. So there's my let me get full screen. Oh, look at that. Bang, you can see them all. That's my final predictions for MCC blank canvas. Thank you all very much for watching. Oh my goodness, I've got a GeForce overlay. This is so sick. Wait, can I make my webcam bigger? No, that's the wrong thing. Oh. Yes. Okay. Thank you all for watching. I hope you all have a lovely rest of your day. I'm going to be busy over the next few days because I turn 18 in 4 days. So that's going to be interesting. So thank you all for watching. This is my last video before I'm an adult, which is pretty interesting. I feel like it's been a bit of a car crash recording, but hopefully this looks good once I get into the editing software. Yeah. Okay, I have nothing really left to say. Thank you all for watching. Like and subscribe. You can do that. And yes, MCC content is back. Also, MCSR ranked season 7 playoffs will be soon, so predictions will be happening for that after the last chance qualifier. So look forward to that. Okay. I've been SpeZy. Peace out. Goodbye.